warm welcome to Disky Talk with Luyolo. If you're tuning in for the very first time, I do ask that you please subscribe and hit that notification bell. If you've been a part of this journey, I hope you thoroughly enjoy this episode. So, on today's episode, I discuss all things CAF Champions League as I have a tactical feature focus on Mamelodi Sundowns, but I will also touch on Wydad as well. So coming up then into this episode, it is all about Mamelodi Sundowns and three players then who have since become a part of the starting lineup who have been quite key for Mamelodi Sundowns with regards to how they look to play and how they look to impose themselves. So when you do look at Wydad then, they were coached by Juan Carlos Garrido, who has parted ways then with Wydad. Then we did see Sven coming into that hot seat for this Wydad side. So Sven has only been in charge for one game, but there are a couple of similarities with regards to how then both managers then look to set up. So under Juan Carlos Garrido then, this Wydad side did play a 4-2-3-1. So with regards to the shape, that is what they look like. Let's just get them there. So with regards to their shape, this is what Wydad was lining up like with regards to their formation and with regards then to when you have a look at the personnel then as well. With Sven coming in, he has changed a couple of players, but it is only early days, so one game isn't a huge enough sample size with regards to trying to understand then what Coach Sven is trying to do. So it will be a very interesting encounter then going up into this one, especially considering then that Mamelodi Sundowns would have prepared for a Wydad then, which was led then by Juan Carlos Garrido, but he has since left. So this is what they were lining up like. And with Sven then, he did also come in. He did also then play a three-man midfield. So when he played, at some point it was like that. At some point then it was a double pivot. His preferred formation then is a 4-2-3-1 as well. So it does get very interesting with regards to then how does he go about things. But when you do have a couple, we do have a look at a couple of key players for this Wydad side. Within the heart of midfield, Jabran, their captain, he is quite key as he does sit at the base. Very good then with regards to ensuring that he can build up play for this Wydad side. Very good in possession and deep pockets of space with regards to playing those line-breaking passes. Also does look to break down opposition attacks. And then up front, you do then have Sambu. So Sambu then is very strong, very powerful. Aerially, he is quite dominant. So it does make it quite interesting, especially considering the amount of goals then that Mamelodi Sundowns have conceded either from set pieces or from crosses when opposition have been able then to make use of that aerial threat. So those are the two key players then. But it does remain to be seen then with regards to who does Coach Sven go into this game with. However, let's have a look at Mamelodi Sundowns with regards to their key players then and what do they look to impose themselves and their principles as well. So when you have a look at this Mamelodi Sundowns side, let's just get the Wydad team out because the red was representing Wydad and the blue will represent Mamelodi Sundowns. So when you have a look at this Mamelodi Sundowns side then, they have been playing with a 4-4-2 diamond. So let's just get them there. The 2 8s there, Tembazwane at the top of the diamond, and then the two strikers. So Mamelodi Sundowns then have been playing with this 4-4-2 diamond this season, and they've been doing very, very well, especially then when you have a look at their dominant displays and performances then within the CAF Champions League. So when you do have a look at them then, in goals, you do have Ron Williams. At right back, you do have Mudau. As the right side at centre back, you do have Mvala, and then you've got BOUTOUIL, and then you've got Mudiba at left back. So when you have a look at it then, we have seen a change with regards to this centre back pairing, because in the beginning we did see Grant and Mvala as well. So Mvala would play as the left side at centre back, Kekana would play as the right side at centre back. But BOUTOUIL has come in, and I think he's been very, very solid for this Mamelodi Sundowns side. And what I like about him then is that what he does then is that he ticks both boxes with regards to in possession and out of possession. So in possession for this Mamelodi Sundowns side, because they do look to to build up from very deep. BOUTOUIL is very comfortable on the ball with regards to how then he looks to play from the back. He plays line-breaking passes, very comfortable on the ball. And then when you look at it from a defensive perspective, this is a player then who is very solid. He reads the game very well. He's also got a very high interception rate because of how then he is able to see the attack of the opposition and be able then to ensure that he is able then to win that ball. So this has been a player then who has come in and who has done very well within this left-sided centre-back role. Also considering that he is left-footed naturally so it does become a bit easier with regards to looking then to build up because he does open up onto his natural side. When you move on then right along and have a look at the out of midfield, you've got Thapelo Morena, who sits at the base of the diamond. You've got Mayema, you've got Thembazwane, and then you've got Sipho Mbule. So when you have a look at Sipho Mbule, it's also another one then who has come in for Allende. Allende and Kekana then both injured. So these two then have come in and they've been able then to make use of the opportunity they've got. So when you have a look at Sipho Mbule then and what he's done well for this Mamelodi Sundowns side. So when you look at Sipho Mbule then and you look at his technical profile, this is a player then who is press resistant, very comfortable on the ball, and he offers great control within the heart of midfield for this Mamelodi Sundowns side. So what we do see sometimes from him then, he is able to sort of come alongside Mokoena, and at times they can create sort of this situational double pivot, but in most cases then you would have him there because then you'd have Modiba then looking then to invert. So Sipho Mbule then has done very well for this Mamelodi Sundowns side ever since he has come in. When you move on then right along, you then have Shalile and then you've got Thapelo Morena. Thapelo Morena then is another one then who's also come in for Cassius Mailula, and ever since he's come in, he's had very, very good performances, and he's also scored very important goals for this Mamelodi Sundowns side as well. So when you have a look at Thapelo Morena then, and why I think then he's been a bit more effective than Cassius within this role is because of how he looks to press. Because then when you have a look at this Mamelodi Sundowns system, one of the key aspects of how they look to play is how they look to press, and they become very aggressive when they press. And I do think that Morena is better at pressing than Cassius Mailula, and also when you also consider the fact that he's very quick as well, and he's experienced, and how then he's able to position himself, be at the right place at the right time, and score those important goals. So that is what Mamelodi Sundowns then have been lining up like. And going then into this weekend, I do foresee them starting then with this 11. In case, unless if something were to happen, but this is the 11 I see them going with. So with regards to their build-up scheme, what do they look like? So when Mamelodi Sundowns look to build up, they do look to build up from very deep. So what you do see from this Mamelodi Sundowns side, let's just bring him there, take it there, bring them down. So what you do see then from this Mamelodi Sundowns side with regards to their build-up, so both centre-backs open up on either side of Ronwen Williams within the 6-yard box. Usually then what you would see then is one of the centre-backs looking to pass to Ronwen Williams, and then Ronwen Williams would be looking then to facilitate build-up from then that situation. You do then have Modiba, who does invert, looking to offer an extra layer within build-up. And then you've got Thapelo Morena there. Then you have Modiba there, who does look to invert. Then they form this double pivot. So then in build-up, then you do have this box situation. But like I said, Ronwen Williams is very key then with regards to that, because he is one then that also is able then to become the catalyst within their build-up. So he is able then to play those line-breaking passes from his own box, where then he is able to find his eights further forward. And when you do move it forward a bit, what you would see is that Ronwen Williams does also come out, and he does sort of occupy that pocket of space just outside the box. So that is what Mamelodi Sundowns side then would look like in build-up. With regards to second and third phase, what would they look like? So when you have a look at this Mamelodi Sundowns side then, let's say the ball would be on the left-hand side. So, for example, if the ball is on the left-hand side, this is a team then that does use relative, or rather minimum width, with regards to how they look to impose themselves. So what you would see then is a complete overload on sort of the left-hand side. And then you'd have Mudau there. So this is somewhat of the shape you'd end up seeing, and how then they'd be looking to overload sort of the left-hand side. So, for example, let's say that Modiba is ball side and he's got the ball. So that is somewhat of the shape that you would end up seeing then from this Mamelodi Sundowns side with regards to how they'd look to overload one side and then look to work the ball through the thirds and work the ball in between the lines of the opposition. Another key aspect of how they look to play then is how penetrative and how good their passes are when it comes to that verticality. So what they do a lot of times then is being able then to break the opposition lines, get a bounce, and then break the next line. So they do that very well with regards to how progressive they are within their passing and how then they look to work the ball then through each and every single phase. So that is Mamelodi Sundowns side then within possession. You'd see a very similar shape then on the right-hand side. So they do then exercise relative or rather minimum width with regards to width. So it is a very, very compact system and very compact with regards to their style of play and how then they look to generate opportunities. And within the wide areas then, you do see a lot of positional rotations because sometimes you do have Mutiba who can drift within this left wide channel. Sometimes you do have Shalile who can drift there. Sometimes Zwane would drift there. Sometimes you'd have Mbule looking to drift there. On the right hand side, same thing. And also when you have a look at the 2-8s, sometimes they do tend to switch. So sometimes you will see Mayama on the left hand side. Sometimes you will see Mbule drifting within the heart of midfield. Sometimes even then on the right hand side. The big question then becomes, what do they look like without the ball and what do they look to press like? So pressing is very key for this Mamelodi Sundowns side because that's what ensures that opposition cannot build up seamlessly, and that's what ensures that opposition are always forced into errors. So when you look at opposition then with regards to how they'd be looking to build up, you'd have your goalkeeper there, you'd have your two centre-backs there. Most teams then have played with two centre-backs against them. Then you'd have your pivot there. So what you'd see is Shalile then attached to the right hand side centre-back. And then you'd see Morena attached to the left side at centre-back. And then you'd have Themba Zwane attached then to the pivot. So this is what they look to press like with regards to ensuring that they force the opposition long or they force them wide or they force them into areas. And then when you have a look then at the fullbacks, they would be stationed there. This is where then the 8s become key because whenever the ball does break out wide, that is where then the 8s should jump and look to combat that situation then within the wide area. So that is Mamelodi Sundowns then with regards to their pressing scheme. And then when we move on then along and have a look at them then within their block. So without the ball then, what do they look like deeper within their own half? So this Mamelodi Sundowns side then, what does happen then is that they do go to this 4-3-1-2 shape. So it becomes very compact with regards to how they look to execute this, ensuring then that opposition can't play in between them through the lines. So that is the shape then that they would look to take up. Sometimes then you'd have Themba Zwane stepping up. Then it does become this 4-3-3 shape. So the two lines of three become very important with regards to the work that they do off the ball. So you've got the first line of three, then you've got the second line of three. But most cases then it does become this 4-3-1-2 shape with regards to how they're looking to press. And whenever then there is wide overloads to deal with against opposition, that is where then the 8s become key with regards to looking then to assist the fullback. Sometimes you'd even see the strikers then looking to drop and looking to assist. So that is Mamelodi Sundowns then without the ball. What do they look like then within their defensive scheme and within their low and within their mid blocks? Not that they spend too much time then within a low and a mid block because they do look to dominate possession. However, when you do have a look at their vulnerabilities then, so this Mamelodi Sundowns side then do tend to look very vulnerable when it comes to defending set pieces and also then when it comes to defending crosses. So they do struggle then with those wide overloads, and when a team then is able then to penetrate through the wide channel and deliver those balls into the box. With set pieces, a lot of the time then they do struggle because opposition is often able then to get first contact on the ball. However, this weekend then is the first leg then of the CAF Champions League semi-final, which then will take place in Morocco. So it is Wydad versus Mamelodi Sundowns. At home, do let me know what do you think of this Mamelodi Sundowns side and how well they've done. And also then when it comes to this leg with regards to Sven being a new coach at the helm for this Wydad side, he's only been in charge for one game. What do you think he will line up like? And what type of personalities and technical profiles will he use? Will it be the same as Coach Juan Carlos Garrido, or will he have a change then with regards to how then he is looking to impose himself? Will he go with the 4-2-3-1? Will he go with the 4-3-3? Or maybe will he change the shape completely and look to catch Mamelodi Sundowns off guard? However, thank you very much for tuning in to yet another special episode of Diski Talk with Liolo. Signing out.